That's okay. I don't want to go. I'm just gonna go home, lie down, and listen to country music. The music of pain.
All right, is my thing going? Yes, it is. All right, everybody recording?
Yes, Daddy. I don't know what happened to me.
So, this is a very exciting day because we're finally at the end of Buffy Season 1.
Woohoo!
Yeah, this is nice because I feel like it's weird because even though I'm the one who hassled all my friends into starting this Buffy podcast, but then it's been a little weird in Season 1 because I feel like I got a pretty serious case of the yeah buts, where we'll watch an episode that's like pretty cool and I'll be like, yeah, but it's not like what Buffy's gonna be. It's not how cool things are gonna be, because Season 1 to me is just weird. So I'm very excited to get here because this means not only are we done with Season 1, but I feel like this is where it's like pedal to the metal now. Like Buffy is Buffy finally.
Like Kazar.
Yeah, it's exactly like Kazar. Like this episode is very exciting to me because it's like, you remember when we watched the pilot and we're like, hey, that was surprisingly okay. Like it's like a little weird little movie and it just was like way better than it needed to be. And then it's just been bizarre ups and downs ever since, where this feels like very clearly the sequel to that pilot.
Yeah.
Like you could just go from the pilot to this basically, and all that stuff in the middle didn't really matter.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, all that cool feeling stuff where it's like a little mini movie is back. That's what this one felt like to me.
Yeah.
That is accurate. That was potentially a waste of time.
All that season, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, remember too, yeah, early on I was saying, because especially those early ones with the witch and the mantis and Owen, where that's where I was like, should we even watch these? But it turns out we're just, it's just delightful to hear us yammer about shit, I think. So we ended up doing all the episodes, but that's where we were floating the idea of skipping them, because yeah, like what was all that shit? What the fuck was Buffy Season 1? Goddamn.
I mean, I wouldn't have gotten my sweet 90s computer dream out of it, so I'm good.
Yeah, and how can we do a recap show and just skip the first season entirely?
Yeah.
Yeah, and how can we do a recap show and skip Owen?
Yeah.
I know, we would have missed Wet Boy.
And there's little stuff, like obviously they do build up Angel to some degree throughout the season, and we do get to know the characters a little, but again, it's like the way I just started watching in Season 2, and everybody says like the origin of this show kind of ran, right, where your friend was like, oh yeah, but not Season 1, you got to get to Season 2, basically we're there, we did it, we made it through Season 1, we had some good times, it's not that bad, but it's just not Buffy.
I'm really nervous because I don't know, I probably wouldn't watch it again, but I enjoyed it. I'm glad to have watched it, and I just had so many different opinions than you, Keith.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, what, am I gonna hate the rest of the show? I'll watch it regardless.
I'm definitely glad to have watched it too, especially because I'm a completionist kind of, and my brain would just go crazy if we started in Season 2.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have handled it, but I am real glad it's over. I'll say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to oversell too much, I guess. Like, this epicness of this finale, it's not going to be like this from here on in. Like, you can't have something this crazy happen all the time. And Season 2, it's still got ups and downs. Like, there are episodes in Season 2 that are among people's most hated. There's still the ups and the downs. But just overall, like, I don't think it's coincidence that the last two episodes, Nightmares and Invisible Girl, were both story by Joss Whedon and someone else wrote it. And then this episode is written and directed by Joss Whedon. It's like, all right, we tried doing a show like a normal show would be, where everybody pitches in and shit, and it didn't work. So this is like Joss going like, he's like grabbing this show by the reins and he's like pulling it, yanking it with all his might away from this weird nonsense that it has been. And he's like, no, this show's gonna be good. I'm gonna make it good. And that's where I feel like this episode is like him just like a Herculean effort of just like lifting up this weird show that he got to make on WB. And he's like, no, it's not gonna suck. It's not gonna suck. I'm gonna make it good.
And it was so clear. It was like the direction, the writing, the like cinematography, even the acting felt better. It was just like, clearly the budget was quite high for this episode compared to other episodes, but just like all around, I was like, I remember like at one point, I was getting goosebumps and like almost like a feeling like I was going to tear up because I was like, I forgot how good this show is. and it's finally starting. Like I was just like getting that feeling of like, I was really complacent, like watching season 1 being like, it's not so bad. I forgot that this is like the show is what I remembered and how much I loved it. And we're getting into it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was overall for sure a better episode, and it looked really cool, and it was like better TV. But it was kind of boring, I think. Just like less things happened. I was so stimulated through all these stupid episodes, and now there's just like one central story. Snooze fest, am I right?
Yeah, no, I definitely felt the opposite. I felt like this episode was packed full of stuff. Like, this was crazy heightened all the time.
It was like end of the world shit.
And there's still, like, problems. There's a lot of dumb badness about this, especially, like, that fight in the library at the end. We'll get into that. There's a lot of suspect logistics of these things and stuff. But, yeah, just overall, no, I definitely feel like this... if anything, this almost could have been another two-parter, I feel like, but they crammed it all into one episode pretty good.
Hey, before we go too far, was there anything different in the world for our movies and music?
There was. This was actually, so June 2nd, 1997 is when this one came out. So there was a couple of weeks break between episodes for whatever reason. So a lot of time for new stuff to occur in the world. So we got a shitload of new stuff.
Cool.
We got a new top movie. It's The Lost World, Jurassic Park Part 2.
Hell yeah.
Okay, that's a hit.
Let's see. Top album. Finally, Spice by the Spice Girls has officially reached the top of the charts.
Damn it. You have to start making this a game for us.
I guess it's hard to come up with a fucking weird little hint. Well, let's see. Okay, top song. America and Europe both have the same top song.
Ricky Martin, Livin' La Vida Loca.
That's a very good guess, but it's like, again, I don't know what possible hint I could give you that doesn't just give it away immediately. Like, 3 young boys who look like girls.
Hanson.
It was Mbop.
See, like, what's the point in trying to...
No, I don't care. That was fun. That was way more fun than just saying it.
But yeah, it's funny because this was, like taking over the world, except the top song in Canada is Elegantly Wasted by INXS.
Oh, boy.
Another case of like, I don't even know what that song is. So I was like, what? I know we're a backward ass country, but what is going on? So I looked it up, and Mbop didn't become a Canadian #1 for over a month.
Wow.
Like, are we behind the times or are we resisting it? Like, what does that mean?
Things just move a little slower up here, eh?
Yeah. Hey, you heard the Mbop by the Hanson sisters there? That middle one, he's mighty cute.
Mbop is a banger.
Yep.
Guys.
Yeah.
If you don't like that song, you're just not listening to it loud enough. That's what I say.
100%. 100%. You're fucked if you don't like Mbop. You're full of shit.
Yeah.
All right, so shall we recap the fantastic finale?
Yes.
Let's shall.
Giles is reading from that prophecy book that Angel got for him, or codex, if you will.
Codex.
And it's very bad news because, yeah, apparently this book is way, way more legit than all of his other books. Like, the shit that's in this book shall come to pass, and there's no question about it. And the book says that tomorrow the Master is going to finally rise from his weird purgatory where he's stuck between realms, and the Slayer is going to die. And that's just all there is to it. And I mean, he doesn't learn that right away, but it's very clear. He trails off mid-sentence, but it's like when he's all rattled and upset for the whole rest of the episode. So it's obvious that something very bad's going to happen to Buffy. And this one thing that I think is cool about this show, that if I remember right in my vague memories, that this is kind of a thing. Like, prophecies are always kind of a problem. All this like Harry Potter bullshit of like, oh, the one who will stop the Lord Voldemort and all this shit. And it's like, it's easy storytelling thing of just like, it's a prophecy, so whatever. But I like how in Buffy, these prophecies that are crazy really happen. You know, like they actually, because I remember this happening in Angel too later on, of just like they'll be like, oh, this such and such a thing. And you're like, well, that can't happen. That'd be insane. And then it happens. And you're like, oh, well, okay, then. I guess that's what's happening.
But like, how convenient that they get their hands on this thing and read about a prophecy that just so happens to be happening tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it is lucky that Angel, again, just had that book under his fucking kitchen table leg or whatever.
Yeah.
And that this lost codex was somehow just in Sunnydale this whole time.
Julian refuses to call it a book. Like,
No, it is a codex.
It's got to stick true to it.
God.
So then a giant earthquake hits Sunnydale, and this just confirms even more so that all this apocalyptic shit in this book is actually going to happen, because it's like the master is breaking free, and it's so bad it like makes a crack in the fucking floor of the library. It's just fucking shit up. It's brutal.
Yeah, they definitely had a higher budget for this episode because they destroyed that set. Like they cracked up the library. It was all broken up.
I will say there's the part where they were showing the master orchestrating this earthquake, I guess. The music that they're playing is supposed to be this very ominous, like, oh no, shit's gonna happen music, but it just sounds like Final Fantasy VII music. It's very bad.
Yeah, I got a little note about music coming up later on, but yeah, again, less can be more about music.
Yeah.
But in the 90s, they certainly didn't feel that way. It's like, let's just swath things with this weird music that may or not be helping. But then to get away from the apocalypse, to take a sudden turn 180, we got Xander's big problems that he's going to try to ask out Buffy one more time just before we can finally move on in season 2 from this fucking dumb subplot. Like, I guess it was a natural thing, right? Like, okay, Xander's the dude in the gang. Buffy's the star. I guess that he would be into her or whatever, but it never really worked. It never made sense. Like Rand was just saying last episode, it's like, there is no spark here. There's no nothing. Why is Xander? What is this? And so then, Xander tries to ask out Buffy one more time, and she's just like, dude, I don't feel it. Why would I? There's nothing there. I'm trying to let you down here. But then he gets all mopey, like, oh, I guess if you're not a fucking vampire, you don't get to be. And it's like, dude, like, this girl is one day away from death, and she's got to spend all her time friend zoning this fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I love Xander.
He doesn't know that at that point, does he?
No, but she doesn't either. But it's just weird. It's like, I mean, I love Xander as much as the next guy, but yeah, it's just like, thank God this is going to be the end of this nonsense.
Yeah.
Oh, good to know. I was curious if he would continue, because it's just insane. Like, I get it, that's just what television was and is. Like, there's always like, will they, won't they? But it never was. Like, no one ever thought anything was going to happen between them except for Xander. And he just, it sucks.
He had a crush on her. It happens. Everyone happens to everyone.
I agree. You know? It's just how he handled it and how, like,
yeah. And I just don't like the way he sat on that bench, like, straddled it.
Yes, it was so weird.
Yeah, and I did feel like, too, it just felt like TV 101 of like, well, I guess we have to do this plot. Is more like,
that's what it felt like.
It never even felt like the show was very invested in this idea.
It did have that moment where he had to like go see Angel and everything, and it was like, he was like, you're in love with her, and he's like, aren't you? And like, that's it was like a cool moment where he was able to convince Angel to go help. And in a lot of ways, Xander is the hero of this episode. I think we can all see that.
Oh my God, shut up.
He saved the day. Buffy died, but Buffy's dead without Xander. We can all agree on that?
Well, actually, I don't know. We'll see when we get there. I got thoughts.
Yeah, okay.
Probably, but who knows?
But the last thing I'll say about that I hate about Xander, it does help too, because it makes you feel so much more for Willow when she's just kind of like keeping it all in, and you see how much pain she's in. Like, you wouldn't feel that as much if he wasn't doing what he was doing to her.
Yeah.
But that's one thing too, just to once again be like the Joss Whedon love cast, is he's so good at just taking whatever threads are around and doing something with them. Like, like this thing with Xander and Buffy, it's like, all right, well, here's what we got. We got this situation, so let's work it in. Let's make it mean something. And like, the greatest example ever is the Avengers. I can't believe he pulled that off. Like, I know you haven't seen it, right, Rand?
No.
It's like you got all these different movie franchises that are all just doing their own weird shit. And it's like, hey, guess what? Take all of these and make a 2-hour movie that combines them all and makes sense. And he did.
Yeah.
And like, that's not an easy thing to do. And yeah, he's so good at this, of just like, what's the situation? Okay, well, let's work with this garbage. And he did. So luckily, Miss Calendar.
Yeah, she's back. I was so excited.
Is it techno-pagan or cyber-pagan?
Techno-pagan, I think.
It was techno, yeah.
Okay, because I was writing my notes and I'm like, shit, which one was it? Like, I don't remember. But luckily, as a techno-pagan, she's very aware that an apocalyptic scenario is afoot. You know, again, not a lot of explanation needed. In fact, the opposite. Giles keeps insisting, like, oh, you wouldn't understand. And she's like, fuck you, bitch, I've been on the internet. Everyone's talking about this. There was a giant earthquake.
Yeah.
Dogs and cats are living together. Shit's crazy out there. Tell me what's going on.
Everyone's talking about it on the news groups.
Yeah. And she says this is a great line. She's like, because Giles is trying to, for whatever reason, is like, no, I don't need nor want your internet techno help. And she's like, look, I helped you cast that demon out of the internet. I think that merits some trust.
Yeah. I wrote that line down too because it sounds so stupid.
Yeah, like by itself, out of context, terrible. But in context, how can you argue with that?
Yeah.
So here's another great one of these like season 1 lines where just those occasional little lines would stick in my head. I love this one where after Xander gets shot down, Willow's asking him like, so how'd it go with Buffy? And he goes, on a scale of 1 to 10, it sucked.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I said over and over in my obnoxious teenage years.
What I loved, and I think it's, I don't know, maybe I'm jumping ahead, but it's around this time where he just was like, oh, it's fine. I'm just going to go home and listen to the saddest music there is, country music. Yeah. It's so bizarre. And it's like, oh, it was just a few years before the emo we know. Like, it just, and he's an emo kid. Like, it would have been perfect. And they're like, I don't know. What's sad music, guys? Oh, country? Sure.
The music of pain.
Yeah.
I double respect that because nobody's even there anymore. Willow already walked away. He's saying that to no one. That's Xander's dedication to the joke, is he'll just say it because it's funny. So Angel and Giles are discussing the Codex.
Thank you.
And Buffy just strolls into the library because, she lives in the library. She overhears them discussing the prophecy and that tomorrow she's going to face the Master and she's going to die. And yeah, what Mike was saying earlier about like you feel that little, you feel the little sadness in your heart. I don't know if you're talking about this scene, but this is the one that definitely got me. Is like, this is incredible acting from Sarah Michelle Gellar. Like, I don't think I gave her enough credit. She fucking nailed this. It was insane how good this was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that scene was great. And it was like, watching her deal with the fact that she's going to die and it's prophesized. And, we got to see her go through the Dabda in rapid rapid pace.
Well, it's not only that she learned that, it's that first of all, she's confused because she sees old man, library man, and then her boyfriend, and she's like, what's happening? And then they're having this intimate conversation about her future, so she's already kind of like sad, and then that drops on her. Like,
yeah,
that's intense.
Yeah, it was great.
And that's where I also realized about like about music. Julian was saying about the music earlier. This is, I think, one of the reasons this scene was so good is this was a rare instance of no music. But I didn't realize until at the end of that scene, the sad music started playing, and it kind of took me out of it a little. And I'm like, man, I'm glad they held off, like, for her sad monologue about how she's only 16 and she's just want, fuck this, then I quit. Like, fuck all this. I'm glad that they didn't put music under that scene because it was so good, quiet, so good.
Yeah.
I think this scene in particular reminded me a lot of some of the later Buffy stuff that I've seen, like the emotional weight behind I guess just people dealing with the things that are happening around them, which I think is a thing that happens a lot in the later Buffy stuff that I've seen, where, it's not just all, oh yeah, these crazy things are happening to us. It's like, no, these crazy things are happening to us, and also it fucking sucks, and we have to deal with the emotional baggage of dealing with all the stuff constantly, which Willow ends up talking about later on in this episode.
Yeah, it's like a neat little trick of this show that it's so silly. Just on the face of it, it's called Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and it's just silly stuff happening, but it's so neat how if you pull it off, if you thread the needle just right, you can still add weight to these things, and you can make them seem important, even though it's fucking crazy. Just crazy, WB nonsense.
Yeah, a 16-year-old is complaining that a prophecy says she has to die while her 200-plus-year-old vampire boyfriend is like pining after her in the corner.
Reading codexes about her behind her back is bullshit. Every teen can relate.
This scene also made me remember the fact that Buffy is 16 and Angel is 200-plus years old, which continues to be a little bit creepy.
I'd fucking old dude.
Great, just me.
Then as far as though bringing emotional weight to these scenes, This next one, it's a shame because this one didn't work as well for me as I hoped that it would, is Willow and Cordelia find just this whole freaking classroom full of dead kids. It's ridiculous. It's more dead kids than there's ever been. And it's really well done. Like
Last week they didn't kill any kids, and this week they're like, oh, fuck, we got to make up for it.
Oh, man.
yeah.
Yeah, they realized that it's the season finale, and they had like 5 extra dead kids that they hadn't used up yet, and they're like, we got to just cram them all in this episode.
And it was really like well done. It's really cool and all artsy in a good way, not like Black and White Marcy, where it's like the handprint on the TV playing like Porky Pig cartoons, like this juxtaposition of just this dopey, you know, whatever rec room in the school with all these dead kids. And but it finally made the news though, so that's nice. Because like when a kid got his fucking heart cut out, no one cared. But
yeah, when giant bees were flying all over the city, no one really cared.
But yeah, Buffy's mom is like, oh man, there's something on the news. You know, like Willow found all these dead kids. So I'm like, oh, like nice, it made the news finally. But this is one of those things where like, again, just an amazing scene technically, where Willow gives this speech to Buffy where she's like all rattled about like all these dead kids and how hard it is. This like trying to amp up the situation. Like this shit with the master's crazy. Kids are dead everywhere. It's totally fucked. And Willow's all like shell shocked about it. And her acting is amazing. ALYSON Hannigan is like my favorite actress in the world. She's so good. But I just wasn't feeling this scene because there's too many dead kids this season that no one cared about. I can't start caring about them now. It's too late. Like Willow literally watched a guy get his neck broken in front of her in that robot episode. Arguably that's worse, and she gave less than a fuck.
Yeah.
So it's a shame. It's like a well done scene, well acted, well written, but in the context of this show where everyone dies all the time, I just was like, I'm sorry, I'm not buying it.
That's funny. Yeah, it's because you went in with the context of the rest of the season. Because when you were starting this, I was like, oh no, like I love that scene. I thought ALYSON Hannigan was great. I wrote it down here, like how good I thought her acting was and how Riff Regan never could have handled that.
Yeah, that would have been death.
And then you were like, I thought you were going to be like, oh, I thought it was bad. But no, just with the context of the rest of the season, which I guess I was able to compartmentalize a little bit because yeah, I loved it. Yeah. I didn't think about that.
I almost was like sad that I didn't feel it more. I felt like I was robbed of an amazing Willow scene. Like this should be one of Willow's top 10 greatest hits. And I was just thinking, like, imagine if this would have taken more forethought than they were clearly giving the show at this point. But what if like almost nobody died? Maybe nobody. Like what if they made the show more Are You Afraid of the Dark goofy the whole season? You know, weird stuff's happening, but nobody quite dies. I think that might have been better anyway, because all the deaths were so lame and stupid anyway. Imagine if no one had died until now, and then Cordelia and Willow find a classroom full of dead kids. This would have fucking been like a 10,000-ton hammer that hit everybody.
Yeah.
But because people die every week, I was just like, oh man, what a waste of an amazing scene.
And probably it would be better if we just watched the first 2 episodes and then that last one.
Yeah.
As like a movie.
Even there, though, it's like, yeah, remember your best friend Jesse? Little Jesse, Xander, and Willow, little kids in fucking kindergarten, just loving life. You didn't give a fuck about him either. Like, I just don't know that there's any way this could have worked for me.
Yeah.
Sadly. But that's just me nitpicking my show that I say I love and know, this is my favorite episode. It's so cool. Except this part, that's awesome. Fuck it. Who can understand the twisty corridors of the brain of Keith?
Not me.
Who would even want to? So then Giles is practicing with a sword in the library, and I was like, does he just really not believe even a little that Buffy's going to solve this situation? Like, is he preparing for a demon-filled world where he has to fight people with a sword?
I think he's just trying to look cool in front of his calendar. Yeah. I'm going to do it. I'm going to beat the master myself. And he's like,
look at my katana.
Holy shit. Anthony Head, is that you?
Yeah, because Buffy comes in and is like, hey, I'm going to go. I don't care. Fuck it. I'm going to go try to fight the master. And Giles is like, no, you won't. I will. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's why he was practicing with a sword. That's a little better, you know?
Yeah.
Still a bad plan, but better than just like, I really had that feeling of like, wow, he gave up already. That's fucked up.
Yeah, Miss Calendar was great this episode too. This is only the second time she appeared, right? Since that first episode that she was in?
Yep.
Yeah, she was like, that first episode, it was kind of like, she's the techno pagan. I didn't really like connect with her, but she was like fun in this episode, and and helpful and great, and is like, oh, just this is fun. I think she's like a neat part of the team.
I like her. I'm excited. I hope she's around more.
Yeah.
And yeah, her internetness definitely seemed less obnoxious. Like it sort of made sense this time that there is a larger world, and if there's crazy earthquakes and crazy shit happening everywhere, like people are going to be talking about it. So that's kind of cool that she's like gets that other perspective that Giles really does have his head stuck in these books. But that's funny too. You remember when Willow was like, hey, so what if I skipped class? Which was just crazy for her to say. Giles had his crazy thing where he's like, I don't care what these old books say about Buffy dying. And it's like for Giles to say he doesn't care what the book said, he's losing his mind right now. Like that's the craziest thing he could ever say. So Buffy just punches him out because it's like, this guy's fucking nuts, dude. I can't deal with this right now.
I don't think that's what happened.
Well, she knew that if she didn't do something, he was going to go try to fight the master. Yeah.
Yeah, she was stopping him from going out, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no books? Bash!
Who are you and where's Giles? And it was kind of nice too. Like this episode just hits a really cool tone of like, you know, she's like her big final words, like, hey, when he wakes up, tell him, I don't know, it's whatever. Tell him something cool.
Say I said it.
Yeah, that's like a Joss Whedon line.
Yeah.
And I really liked the visual of Buffy in her prom dress with a crossbow. It's very cool. It's just.
But like, where did that come from, and why did that happen? All of a sudden, she just has a crossbow. She's never used anything like that before. Am I wrong?
Well, she had all those weapons in the previous episode.
Feel like there was a crossbow at some point.
I think when she fought Angel, she had a crossbow. So maybe for.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I just blocked it out, and I'm expecting this to be like true to lore and just use a wooden stake.
Yeah, mostly I remember just the stake.
Back in my day.
Later on, yeah, I think there's a lot more stakings, but I don't know. It just, yeah, again, it just kind of looks cool though. It does look cool, right? We can all.
It did look cool.
Yeah.
Also, I guess, yeah, the dress came because her mom got her a dress. I don't know. That's one thing you might notice as this goes on is I have a subtle dislike of Buffy's mom. Whenever I see her name as a guest star, I'm like, oh, great, Buffy's mom's in this one. So my recaps will probably subtly avoid talking about Buffy's mom. But if anyone has things they'd just love to say about Buffy's mom, I'm going to leave that to you guys.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how, like, what else happens with her, because other people have said that to me. They're like if I've just posted something on Instagram, they're like, ugh, Buffy's mom, I hate her. And like, so far, she's not a great mom, but like, she just hasn't done much for people to hate her yet.
It's funny because I used to watch this show back in the day with my own mom most of the time. And I mentioned to her, like, I'm doing this Buffy podcast now. And, you know, she hasn't seen it, though, in 20 years. So we're kind of talking about Buffy, and she had vague memories here and there. And she brought up, unprompted, like, I didn't like Buffy's mom. So, yeah, Buffy's mom fucking sucks.
Interesting.
Other mothers can confirm that this is true. So you got that weird little kid, the Anointed One. He's still just kind of around. I don't really know what his place is or what he was supposed to, how he was involved in any of this apocalypse, whatever. He just shows up to help lead.
Oh, he's anointed.
Yeah. And I guess like the master, his side of the prophecy is he needs Buffy's blood to superpower him, like Slayer blood, to help him break free or whatever. So I guess the Anointed One leads Buffy to the master because he wants to be found at this point, but it's all very convoluted, and it's like, what even was this kid? What is this?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
Yeah, I really hate him. He just climbs on stuff and is silent.
And he's not a good actor. He's like when you can tell that like an animal is just walking to its mark that someone led it to. That's like,
yeah.
He takes her down into the catacombs, points, and then just awkwardly turns around and like walks back to his mom. Like he just looks so stiff and weird. So
they're like, this is the best we could do.
So meanwhile, though, Buffy's heading down underground to fight the master. Xander goes to Angel and says, man, we gotta fucking help Buffy, dude. You know, like what you guys were saying before. It's like, hey, you love Buffy, I love Buffy, everybody loves Buffy. We're not just gonna let her go get killed. Motherfucker, I don't care about your codexes. Let's go do this shit. And this is where I was going to say, I'm a little surprised, I guess. I mean, again, we know me and Rayanne are on opposite ends of the Buffy spectrum. But instead of this episode feeling narrow, like it's only about one thing, I felt the opposite about this, where I felt like so much stuff is happening, different threads. Like this is where I first started feeling it, of like, okay, Buffy's over here doing this, and Angel and Xander are over here doing this, and the rest of the gang in the library are doing that. And it's this thing that back in the day, me and my friend Brad used to talk about this. He's the guy that got me into Buffy. That in a really good episode of Buffy, it'll happen way more later when there's really good episodes, but it's like time dilation where it's like you watch it and you're like, I can't believe that was one episode. That felt like a whole movie. How did so much stuff happen in this one episode? And I'm starting to feel that a little bit in this episode. I'm like, oh yeah, there's that weird mystical feeling that Buffy squeezes so much stuff into 44 minutes. It's just weird.
I don't know. Maybe, obviously it is just me, but I mean, I still loved it for sure. And it's like nice, but every other episode, not for better. It just, there were so many like different things happening at once. Like they didn't necessarily have the exact same outcome, or they weren't working on the exact same problem or the exact same beasts. I just found like they spent more time on certain conversations, or I just like wrote fewer notes. And I'm sure like with watching 2 episodes in a row, that's part of it too. But yeah, it's nice. I felt like I could slow down and actually like take in what was happening, because it wasn't like, oh shit, this kid died. Okay, now they're going here. Oh, but somebody else died. Like it was just like slower in that way to me.
For me, I definitely wrote down less notes for this, but only because it was so much more engaging, I think. I was just like really interested in it.
Yeah.
And it blew by. And
it is weird too, though, I guess, where there's like all these different threads of stuff happening, but some of it is a little scattered, like especially the library research gang. Like at least Angel, Xander, and Buffy are all just heading to the master. But this is weird, where they're doing research about this apocalypse stuff, and they're trying to figure out if the Hellmouth opens, where's it going to open? And they're like, oh, wait, it's the only other set, the bronze. so they figure out, okay, that's that going on, and the prom is happening there. Holy shit, we better go deal with that. But this is really weird. Willow and Miss Calendar run off to go to the bronze. Giles just stays and keeps reading the books and is like, be careful out there. And it's like, bitch, go help them. What are you still reading the books for? You know where the thing's going to open. What are you doing? I didn't understand that at all. That's so weird. But then I guess that didn't really matter, because Willow and Miss Calendar go outside and there's vampires everywhere, but they're very much
I said zombie
acting.
too.
Yeah, they're acting like zombies. And I'm like, is there supposed to be zombies? What's going on here?
That's exactly what I said to Julian. I'm like, they're zombies now? I don't understand.
And then they're all converging on the library, because it turns out it's not the bronze after all. It's the library where the Hellmouth is, because everyone is converging on the library. And it's like, it is weird that, yeah, like this particular plot thread is like, go this way. No, go this way. Like, what the fuck?
We did see the bronze briefly at the beginning of this episode, which I don't think we've seen the bronze in quite some time.
Yeah, because there was a band playing. I was going to see where they fit on the bronze scale, but they just weren't there long enough.
Obviously very low, because I have no memory of it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Well, that scene when Xander was practicing asking out Buffy with Willow was at the bronze.
Oh, yeah.
But, I meant to look for food. Were they eating food? I don't know. I forgot to look.
I don't think so.
Willow was eating up Xander with her eyes.
Oh yeah, he's a snack, that boy.
So the vampire zombies are everywhere. They really are more like zombies the whole rest of the episode. They don't really act like vampires.
Yeah.
But maybe, who knows, maybe that's part of the okay, you know what, let's rewrite it. Let's do Joss's job for him again. Maybe because of this apocalypse thing, like they're all being drawn kind of outside of their will toward where the Hellmouth is going to open in the library. But vampires don't generally follow orders well. They're fucking headstrong asshole jerks. So maybe that is part of this. Like part of the Master's big apocalypse magic is it's like mind controlling all the vampires and bringing them to the Hellmouth. And that's why they act so zombie-ish.
Yeah. Just imagine it like someone left a pie on the windowsill of the library.
Yeah.
What kind of pie?
Peach cobbler.
Okay.
Blood cobbler?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, blood.
I don't move for cobbler.
It's also the only way to explain how they managed to barricade the library and keep these vampires out, as if they're extremely dopey and stupid. But I guess we'll get to that. So down underground, the Master just kills Buffy's ass, fucking kills her. Like, the prophecy was true. She's fucking dead. And again, yeah, that's one of those crazy moments that it's just like, what the fuck, really? You know? Like,
yeah.
And he sort of says some stuff about how, you know, these prophecies are, they're a little shaky. Like, the basics were true, but basically if Buffy had not come down, the Master couldn't have escaped. Like, drinking the Slayer blood gave him that one last extra push he needed. So it's like, haha, sucker, and you're dead. How do you like that? And yeah, she just falls into the water. And it's like, that's creepy as shit, man.
And she died. Thank God for Xander, our boy Xander. He went down. He dragged Angel out of what I can only assume is his condo. And as powerful and super powered as Angel is as a vampire, still not strong enough to save Buffy's life. But Xander, my sweet boy Xander, can do it.
Because he could breathe.
And how did a little CPR saved her from being defeated by the master?
Well, she drowned. I guess she didn't die from being bit. She died from drowning, I guess.
Yeah, this is where it does get a little shaky of like the master only sucked a little bit of blood from her, didn't really, drain her completely. So the drowning was more the main problem, I guess. And yeah, this is just all these other weird little things we mentioned before of like, okay, so I guess Angel doesn't have breath. How he's talking, who knows? Magic, I guess. Sure, why not? And I don't know, do you think, like, on the surface, I was like, wow, Xander saved Buffy? Wow, he saved Giles, he saved Buffy. Xander's better than I thought he was. He's saving people left and right. But do you think it was the CPR, or is it just that they got her out of the water and her superpowered, Slayer lungs just expelled some water? I don't think Xander hurt, but I don't know if Xander saved her. I guess it could go either way.
But she would have still been underwater.
Oh, good point. So yeah, he did save her. Like, even if it wasn't the actual CPR, he did save her. Because, yeah, Slayers can't breathe underwater. Everyone knows that. It's in the Codex. Yeah, I don't know why I'm nitpicking to try to take away a victory from our boy Xander. but you did it. Xander did save her life. So maybe we should keep that tally. Who would be dead if they didn't have Xander around? So far, Giles and Buffy. Like, that's pretty good.
Can you remind me of my short-term memory? What was the Giles situation?
Oh, it's because Giles was very cleverly tricked into laying in a guillotine. so that the magician
Holy
kid, who was
shit,
also a
you're
demon,
right.
could cut off the top of his head and eat his juicy brain.
What a dumbass.
Yeah, and Xander, not only did Xander save him, grabbed the rope at the last second. It was like, whew, man.
It was heroic. He's a hero.
He should literally be on his hands and knees saying a little prayer of thanks to Xander every night for the rest of his life, that librarian.
And shouldn't we all?
Yeah, I think we should.
I know I do.
So then, it's funny, the stuff that I remember from season 1, and it's almost weirder the stuff I don't remember, because Cordelia drives her car straight through the doors of the school and then busts through some other doors, and I'm like, that is so cool. How did I not remember that happened? That's insane.
It was awesome.
And then they run into the library because, I guess they got to go tell Giles that he was wildly wrong. That is, it's not the bronze at all. It's everyone's coming to the library. And these vampires, one of them slides across the hood of Cordelia's car.
Yeah. Like Bruce Willis, in an action movie or something.
Yeah, it was he's a very extremely cool dude. It's weird. And yeah, and this is we were saying of this part, this is all ludicrous. It's just that I like this episode well enough that I got enough goodwill in the bank that I'm willing to just put up with some nonsense. But them keeping the vampires out of this room just sucks 100%. It's like fucking Cordelia stops one by biting it on the arm and is like, see how you like it.
Yeah.
And that thing we noticed at the funeral home when they're just putting fans and empty cabinets in front of doors, they're doing that again. Giles is rolling a thing over on wheels. It's like, dude, it's on wheels. That's not stopping anyone. And then get this window and get that one. And yeah, zombies, maybe. But vampires are super strong and super smart and want to kill you. There's no fucking reason that they managed to stop these things from coming into the library. Mm-hmm. But what can you do? They're just trying to escalate, make things crazy. And along those lines, that crack in the floor, a giant Cthulhu horrible tentacle monster is also coming up from the ground because fuck it, why not? Let's just make things even worse.
Yeah. Is there any correlation between anything else that happened and this thing being there?
Nah.
I assume it was in the Codex.
Oh.
Okay.
Have you checked your Codex?
Of course.
And yeah, this is we were talking about how the show is so darkly lit, and it's at least with the HD remasters, they kind of brighten it up a little. But man, this is a case where they could have gone for, I would have wanted 50% darker and a bunch of mist. You got to do something to cover up this rubber monster because it fucking sucks. And Giles is fighting it with a sword. Like, there's another episode later on, just as kind of a gag, just in the background, the gang is fighting a monster, and it's like this. Like, it's silly, and it's a silly rubber monster. Except in this case, it's not supposed to be a joke. It's supposed to be for real. But yeah, it blows. It's terrible. So in their darkest hour, when the Hellmouth is about the Master's officially escaped. He's out. This monster's coming up from the ground. Vampires everywhere. Everything couldn't be worse. So then they cut to the Buffy theme song. Just starts playing.
Yeah,
mid-episode.
that was awesome.
Yeah, and Buffy's coming to save the day, and it's really cool. And she's doing the power walk with her and Xander and Angel. But then they just keep walking, and they keep walking. It's like, you guys are kind of walking a little bit slow. Couldn't you run? But they just slowly walk and make cool quips about, like, don't worry, I got it. I'm a cool, smooth action hero. It's all going to be fine. And then I guess this is where, yeah, we're just kind of running out of time, because it does all kind of wrap up a little fast of the Master, I guess, is on the roof of the school, because, again, just conveniently, the Hellmouth is centered directly under the library, which I thought, I could have swore they brought that up earlier, but it's the kind of thing they should have just brought up earlier. Like, I don't know. They already said that the Hellmouth was connected to the school. Giles could have been like, hey, that's the reason the library's here. It's the reason I'm a fake librarian. It's because the Hellmouth is here or something. But anyway, the Master's just on the roof of the school. Buffy goes up to fight him. And he kicked her ass so easy the first time. So he does it again. He uses his vampire mind powers and he grabs her. And he's like, where's your jibes now? And I feel like that's him admitting that her sarcastic remarks earlier really hurt his feelings.
He's just been brooding underground for like 80 years. And the first thing that happens to him when he starts to escape is some 16-year-old just starts cutting him up. And that really just fucks him up for life.
Yeah, he's not like the way Moloch the computer guy just got on board with 90s pop culture. The Master's like the opposite of like, well, fuck you. So are you. Like, he can't keep up with Buffy's clever ass shit that she says. So yeah, she calls him Punch Mouth and she throws him through the skylight. And it's a little quick. It's a shame they didn't have a little more time to make this more of a fight, because yeah, she tosses him through the skylight. There's some conveniently pointy wood. He falls on it and dies. And then the monster and the vampires. I guess this does lead credence to the idea that they're all under the Master's thrall or something. Because the vampires immediately peace out. They're just like, fuck it. Okay, Master's dead. I don't know what we're even doing here, but we're out of here.
Before he dies, when he's like reveling in this rubber monster doing its thing, the Master starts clapping.
He does.
Like, it's like a baby when a baby sees a dog or something. It was like with the fingers pointed out and he's just beating its palms. It was so funny. I'm like, why did you make him be 3.5 years old? It was awesome.
I wonder if does he have like vampire nails? Like maybe he has long nail prosthetics?
He does, yeah.
Doesn't want to.
But they're not that long. They were like, I did notice them because I was like, actually his nails are very trendy for today. So they wouldn't, and they're literally, I was going to say they'd be called coffin nails, but no, his nails are almond shaped, but they're not in the way of him clapping. He just clapped like a very sad baby.
Yeah, and I'd say, I guess it's, again, he's the first villain you've seen, Rayanne, but I'd say on the Buffy villain scale, it is a little bit of a shame he went out so quick and so suddenly.
Wait, so he's just done now? This is just it?
Well, almost.
Okay.
And he's definitely not like the best villain, but he's not the worst. Like, I didn't hate the Master. He's like kind of that line of like, he's sort of spooky and sort of cool and evil, but also sort of like telling dumb jokes, like when the earthquake happened earlier. He's like, what do you think, 5.1? Just stupid shit like that. He really is like a prototype Buffy villain. They haven't quite nailed it yet, but he's okay. I didn't mind the Master, but we didn't really get a lot of time to really develop him. And then he just goes out like a bitch. So the Master's dead.
Does every season take a similar approach where it's like introduction to villain at the beginning and then a little bit of growth throughout and then dead in the finale?
I'd say mostly, not always, but
I mean, not in this way where they have a thing that they call the big bad, which is like there's a main villain in every season, but it's not like they introduce it in the first episode and they do a bunch of unrelated bullshit all the way in the middle and then at the end it's like, they do a full arc of like every, there's other sides things happening, but
sure,
there's always a main storyline that's being followed through for the season.
Isn't it weird that Buffy season 1 would have been better if they gave them less? Like if it was like a mini series and they're like, you got 4 episodes, it would have been tight. They just gave them too many episodes to just fuck around and do nonsense.
Yeah, it would have been great.
Yeah, and I never looked ahead to see how many episodes there were, but everyone just kept talking about how this was a short season, and like today, short seasons, a lot of shows are like 6 or 8 episodes. So constantly I was like, oh, okay, we must be almost done. And then someone mentioned there were 12, and I'm like, that's still so many of this right now.
Oh yeah, that's like a regular season by today's standards.
This is like 90s traditional 22 to 24 episodes, somewhere around there or something, and then so this one was 12. So yeah, it was a half season for Buffy, but yeah, this was also the days of TV and internet was all in a different place. You just wanted syndication. So like, let's just race to episode 100 as fast as we can so we can be on daily syndication. And, Buffy was no different. That's part of why it's so cool that Buffy ends up being such a good show, because it is in the same boat as every other piece of shit show that came out in the 90s, But I think that scene where it really is like the scene of this episode is the Buffy talking to Giles drama scene was like, okay, there it is. There's the vision of what this show could be. And we got there. We finally got there.
That was my favorite part of the episode, so that bodes well.
Yeah, me too. That and Willow. Yeah, like just the performances were good. It was good. It really made me excited for what's to come, because it was, I think, like, I hope you liked it, Rayanne, because it's going to be more like this than Moloch going forward.
Yeah, like I've said it in pretty much every episode. The things I liked the most about this show so far is the teen drama, and it's just a different way of framing it, Yeah,
the teen drama, like the kind of high school melodrama, doesn't go away. Like this, in this episode, it was a huge part of it. The whole, like, who's going to go to the prom with who, juxtaposed with, like, the end of the world happening at the same time.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I have no idea what happens with Willow and Xander at all, and I'm not looking up at you guys right now because I really don't want to see any reaction. I'm just so glad I don't know, and I'm excited because I just know of these other characters. I barely know what they look like. I forget most of their names, but I know that there's just so much happening that's, like, canon. Are there new characters in season 2 that I'll be excited about?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's definitely one big one that is
okay, good,
staying around for a while.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I was thinking about that too, where I'm just sitting around thinking about Buffy stuff as I do most of the day.
Wow, New Brunswick really is a shithole, huh?
Oh, it's fucking boring. So, like this episode, I was thinking like, if you made like your top 10 episodes of Buffy, this would never make it. It wouldn't make top 10. But if you made top 20, it's like maybe. It's possible this one could like squeak its way in. And I was thinking how amazing that is because of what they had to work with. Because I could think off the top of my head of like 12 or 15 other Buffy characters that weren't even here yet.
Yeah.
That are all amazing. Like they didn't have a lot to work with here. And it turned out pretty fucking good.
I'm very excited about, I'm getting very excited about what's to come. Next week's going to be fun.
Yay.
So then to wrap up the episode, because the prom happens to be happening over at the Bronze, they're like, oh, hey, you guys want to go to the prom? I'm like, fuck it, yeah, let's go. And then as they walk out, the master's skeleton is still there. He dusted, but his bones didn't. And I was just like seeing that. I was a little surprised that never came up later. That seems like that would be the perfect thing.
That 100% does come up later.
Like, do they? Because I was thinking like they could use his bones for like a ritual or something. Like, surely they could get some use out of these bones, but I don't remember any bones happening.
Oh, yeah. No, that happens later. I think they try to resurrect him. I think the Anointed One tries to resurrect him with the bones.
These bones.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because, like my memories of season 2 are very scant. So good, because I was like, those are very prominent bones.
I'm just glad we're going to keep talking about the bones at some point.
Yeah.
Bones. Remember Bones?
There was a very prominent bones in this episode.
But yeah, I'm curious too to see with season 2, because my memories of it are fairly scant. But in my mind, I would always think like season 2 and 5 were always kind of my favorites, but I just don't remember that well. And it's not like this show's going to take a 180 into immediate amazingnessville. It's still the same show. Like I can think of a couple season 2 episodes that are fucking real bad. So like we're still going to have some adventures of the week. We're still going to have some stuff like season 1. But in my memory, it's all in general much, much better. So it'll be curious to see. We'll see how it goes.
I'm just excited that in the last minute we got to hear Keith say the word skint. Not once, but twice.
Yeah.
So speaking of, though, as excited as we all are for season 2, I was thinking, because back at the start of this podcast, we were pitching the idea, should we watch the movie? But I was like, I don't know, the movie will just gum things up and confuse things, like fuck the movie. But now that we're past season 1...
And now you'd like to admit that you're wrong?
Yeah,
and Mike was right?
Well, I still think watching it at the start wouldn't have worked as well, because then we'd just be comparing the show to the movie, and why bother, because fuck the movie.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
But now that we're between seasons, maybe between each season, we should try to find some ancillary Buffy thing to cleanse the palate a little. And yeah, I just think this might be a nice send-off to proto-Buffy. If we watch the movie next week, that'll be like, okay, so there was the weird season of the show that didn't totally work. Now let's watch the weird movie that didn't totally work, and then that'll send us off into when the show did work. So how do you guys feel about that? Should we watch the movie next week?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Immediately when this was over and I exited out of Amazon Prime, we were on whatever shitty channel we watch all the time. And it was one of those stupid reality shows on probably the Food Channel. And it was...
Oh, it was on the Food Network, yeah.
It was on the Food Network, and it was called Outrageous Pumpkins. And the host was ALYSON HANNIGAN!
Nice.
It was so bizarre, and people just had to like carve outrageous pumpkins so they could be the outrageous pumpkin champion.
I did always think it was a bit of a shame that, it's like career-wise, everything went fine for her, with American Pie and with How I Met Your Mother. But she just, I feel like she should have been in a drama or something. Like, she should have got the sweet Castle Bones gig that everyone else got, and she never did. And it's too bad.
But I mean, How I Met Your Mother syndicated sitcom, it went for 10 seasons. She's doing great.
Yeah.
She's doing just fine.
Yeah, big time. And she's got that outrageous pumpkins money now.
Well, she's also host Penn and Teller's Fool Us.
Shit, yeah. You get that money, Willow. You get that bread, baby.
So, Julie, you want
to
wrap us up?
Okay, is it time for me to just poignantly wrap up this entire season of Buffy and our viewing experience and how we've been changed by it?
Yep.
Yeah, the whole season. Everybody's waiting. Everybody needs it.
Okay.
And you know what? You not only have you got to wrap up this whole season, you got to wrap up how I, Rayanne, and Mike, and yourself all individually felt about it and all of our various conflicting and differing opinions. And if you could, make it brief.
Okay. Hey, you know what? Coming into this, we weren't really sure if Buffy sucked. Some of us thought it might, some of us thought it might not. And you know what? At the end of season 1, some of us think it doesn't. Yeah.
Holy shit, he did it.
He did it. Didn't think he could do it, but he did it.
I always knew you could, sweet thing.
Thank you.
So that's it, huh? I remember the drill. One Slayer dies, next one's called. Wonder who she is. Will you train her? Or will they send someone else?
Buffy,
Does say how he's gonna kill me? Do you think it'll hurt? Don't touch me! You even gonna tell me?
I was hoping that I wouldn't have to, that there was some way around it.
I've got a way around it. I quit.
It's not that simple.
I'm making it that simple. I quit. I resign. I'm fired. You can find someone else to stop the master from taking over.
I'm not sure that anyone else can. All the signs indicate...
Signs? Read me the signs! Tell me my fortune! You're so useful sitting here with all of your books. You're really a lot of help.
No, I don't suppose I am.
I know this is hard.
What do you know about this? You're never gonna die.
You think I want anything to happen to you, huh? Do you think I could stand it? We just gotta figure out a way.
I already did. I quit, remember? Pay attention.
Buffy, if the master rises...
I don't care! I don't care.